Got to start recording there. That's kind of important.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Whenever you're
we
ready
are.
in
We're
this
set.
case.
We're good. We're set. Um, so here we are, another Monday.
Welcome. Welcome to, well, I'm Jane Stahl,
And I'm Yergz.
and this is.
Both sides now. All
And
three sides today.
I tell you what, I've invited my dear friend Amy Muzopappa to be with us for an episode of Both Sides Now. I need to let you know that Amy is one of our fans. Amy listens to our podcast, which makes
Very
me
cool.
so very happy, and she likes it.
She's
So
one of the smart people.
we have people who have listened to our podcast and said, "Nah, not my cup of tea," that kind of thing. So whenever we run into somebody who really likes us and listens to us, we're very excited about that. But
good.
for our audience, just to let you know, I mean, I invited Amy today because on Facebook this morning, right? She had some photos up announcing that she had won first place, and help me with the title of the place, but she won first place in a championship of help me.
A martial arts tournament.
There we go.
Yeah.
And she won first place. And
Well, if it's the one that I saw on Facebook, I saw your post on Facebook. It was at Bucks County.
Yes. The 5th annual Bucks County Martial Arts Championship or something like that.
Yeah. Anyway,
okay.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. But when I saw that this morning, I immediately grabbed one of the photos of her looking real fierce. Okay. It's like kick buff Amy, right? And
Right.
I needed to share that with my friends. And so we had a meeting today, and I thought maybe I can catch her when the energy is still really hot, to record with us and tell us a little bit about
Yeah.
her journey as a martial artist. Now, I say that because I also know that Amy started. When did you start this?
A little less than a year ago.
A little less than a year ago.
Wow.
And it was a challenge for her because, Amy has a disability of some kind, autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis, I believe.
It's not rheumatoid. It's
whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, similar, very similar.
And so she was very hesitant, wasn't sure she could, participate in something like this. That might be too challenging, too athletic, too physical, something. And yet you don't tell my friend Amy she can't do something. Would that be about right?
That's true.
We always like that.
And
well, what's the difference between your arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis?
They're both autoimmune conditions. I mean, very similar manifestation where you get inflammation in your joints and things like that. So, for argument's sake, they're about the same.
How does it manifest itself with you?
I'll just randomly have a joint blow up, when I have a flare.
And what does that mean?
Pain.
A lot.
Pain. Yeah, it's chronic pain. Just like today, my left foot is swollen. It's just kind of blown up.
Get out.
Can only wear certain shoes. I could show you, but then it would be a tease for the listeners who can't see it. It's pretty impressive, actually.
No kidding.
I mean,
but because I know that in one photograph you shared with me today, you had cropped it so that we couldn't see the cane. Is that correct?
Right.
So your condition disallows you from moving sort of freely. Is that correct?
Sometimes it has.
Sometimes
it has.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not something I've been comfortable talking about until this year. This year, I really started on a different kind of journey. I was always very active and athletic, even up to when I had my kids. And then your body changes during a pregnancy. But in some cases, if you have an autoimmune condition, that's when it manifests. And that's what happened with me. So I
No kidding.
developed chronic, they thought it was Lyme's, and then they, it went through all kinds of testing. And I've been diagnosed with all kinds of things, but then ultimately I found the right rheumatologist who diagnosed me with psoriatic arthritis is what I have. Not as common as
Okay.
rheumatoid. That's why I just say rheumatoid, because everybody knows what that is.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
But
so go ahead.
yeah, did I catch that right? You have some other autoimmune deficiency, and that's what flares the arthritis, or is this all just one and the same?
It's one and the same. I was misdiagnosed for years with,
Okay.
chronic fatigue syndrome, or they thought I might have Lyme's disease, or, I at one time, what's the other one? Crohn's, and then there was, lots of different autoimmune diseases that are out there. Lupus was another one they
There
thought
you
I
go.
might have.
Yeah.
And then finally, after going to countless doctors, and I went to immunologists, I went to allergists, and I finally found the right rheumatologist who figured out what was going on.
Fantastic.
And since then, it's medically managed. I give myself injections every week to
No kidding.
to suppress my immune system, because it's my immune system attacking me. So
Wow.
yeah,
So,
So
whole
what?
boatload of questions from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what triggered this desire or this willingness to give this all a shot? I know your daughter's been working with Donnie Ellison's Taekwondo Academy
right.
for 6 years.
6 years, yeah.
6 years. And you probably watched her and thought, oh God, I wish I could do that. Is that right? Talk to me about the moment.
Yeah, it was just the journey. Well, first of all, having children is a journey. And, I got started a little late in life, but I lived a lot of life before I had my kids, which was quite a blessing.
What does that mean? I've got to go there for a minute.
Oh, just, traveling
okay.
and just doing all the things. Yeah.
Okay. You had a motorcycle, I remember
I
that.
still have it.
Do you really?
I still have my Harley. I, lost the ability to ride it on occasion, but every once in a while I can
Did
still
you
get on.
live in Alaska or just journey there a lot?
I just traveled there a couple times. I did live in the Dominican Republic for a while. I spent a month in the rainforest in Ecuador. I've done a couple things.
Yeah, and you were or still are. Help me out here with the ambulance.
A paramedic.
Paramedic.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that what you did in the other countries?
I went on a medical mission to Ecuador and was administering, vaccinations and anti-malarials and things to people in Ecuador. That was
Nice.
one of the things I took. Yeah.
And today, let's get there before
today,
we go.
Yeah.
And today you are.
Yeah. So I don't like to dwell on the disability part of my condition. In fact, I wasn't. I mean, I've just now started talking about it. I started reliving my childhood, so to speak, with Anna, and then my son also started martial arts. He's 8, but this year I turned 50, and I decided one of my favorite quotes from Shawshank Redemption is "Get busy living or get busy dying," and I just decided, I need to really just take charge of this. I had put on some weight because of my mobility issues. And I just decided to take some radical steps. So the first thing was to try to do some modified exercising. I changed my diet pretty radically and started taking these weekly injections, which I'm a pretty natural person. So for me to give myself injections every week, it just goes against everything I formerly believed in. So I just decided I have to do something.
Well, I have to go back because I am fascinated by this. This is a very selfish question, but talk to me about your diet.
There's all kinds of inflammatory triggers.
Okay.
So I went through a battery of allergy tests. I did some intermittent fasting. I've gotten rid of, I cheat a little bit, but mostly I've gotten rid of gluten, corn products. That's a trigger. Even potatoes, nightshades. There's a lot of different inflammatory foods. Yeah. But I'm not a purist. I've found that when I try to be too restrictive, then I say, "Oh, to hell with it," and then I fall off the wagon, so to speak. So just I'm mostly there. but
Okay.
I do indulge a little bit because you have to live your life. But I dropped 32 pounds, and I
Fantastic.
started
Wow.
working with Donnie Ellickson, who owns the Martial Arts Academy, and he adapted some techniques for me so that I was able to
So
work out.
talk to me a
Get
little
fit.
bit. Like, for example, what did the adaptations look like?
So I can't have a lot of impact on my feet, which sounds funny because Tae Kwon Do is literally
On your feet.
it means the art of fist and foot. So there's a lot of striking, but it's a very interesting mechanism that affects it. So a big part of our warm up is jumping jacks, just to kind of get the blood flowing before we do our stretching. So I just modify it. I can, I do the top part, and then I kind of do leg lifts instead of the jumping, the
Okay.
impact on the feet. That's just one example. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. So, and you've been doing this, I know you said it already, but my mind goes blank. You've been doing this now for a
Almost a year.
year?
Almost
Okay.
a year. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And my understanding, and I don't have much, but my understanding is that there are a variety of levels signified by different colored belts.
I'm a total beginner.
You're a total beginner? Get out.
Total beginner. Well, I've only been doing it,
I know.
coming up on a year.
But you ended up at some kind of tournament. Do you want to
I
talk
did.
about that?
Yeah. So there are three components to the curriculum at the academy, and it's weapons, forms, and fighting. Fighting is probably the most fun, but the most likely for me to injure myself. So I don't do as much of that. I do what I need to do to keep progressing. But I love the weapons and I love the forms. So I felt like I needed to keep challenging myself in ways that kept me focused, since I can't do the fighting part like the rest of my class does certain things, and I have to kind of do something else. So that just
Is it that strict? Like you can't just like minimize some of the fighting? Is it cut out
Well,
altogether?
I do. I mean, like I said, they work with me. I do minimize
Mhm.
the fighting. But, my interest in self-defense, I've had that for many, many years.
And what triggered that interest?
Yeah, I was gonna say that was gonna be one of my questions as well.
Well, I am a survivor of abuse.
Excuse me?
I'm a survivor of abuse, and I've also,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
as a paramedic, I've also responded to a lot of situations where people have been injured or abused by significant others or strangers. And so I just have always had an interest in self-defense.
I guess.
When I was a paramedic in Allentown, we wore bulletproof vests and had a lot of situations that we encountered. So
Yeah.
it was just a big part of my natural awareness that was taught to me in that environment. So I, sorry, Jane, but I am a licensed firearm carrier.
Why are you apologizing?
Well, I think we disagree on some things there, but for me, that was part of the, my mobility was limited, and I still
Sure.
feel like I had the right to protect myself and be capable of doing so. And I really enjoy shooting. So
Excellent. Well, they have passed on, but I have had other friends who were very interested in shooting as well. And I kind of go with the sentence, and I'm going to get it wrong, I know, but if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns.
That's right.
So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's where I come from.
Yeah.
I don't like. I will be honest with you. I don't like the military style weapons, the Uzis, and what are they, 15s, whatever that name is.
15.
To me, that's a little out there. But again, if you outlaw guns, only outlaws will have guns. So.
Yeah, the bad guys are going to be armed.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely, and I believe that. Anyway, but let's get back to this again. Now, you and I had talked just a little bit before we got on here with Ross, and you were showing me a video of someone who has been your hero. Do you want to talk about a little bit about her, her journey, her challenges, and how that affected you?
Yeah. So there were some kids in class with my kids, and their mother also took classes. And she had started taking classes for a few years before she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, is what she had. And I kind of followed her journey. And that did help me see things differently because I saw that they were willing to work with her at Elixon's as well. So she's just sort of been someone who can mentor me.
And
it's
there
a
are
very unique situation.
and there are other folks at Elixon's, I believe you alluded to,
Yes.
who need certain kinds of accommodations.
Yeah, you need to talk to Donnie because his team is phenomenal. They have all kinds of people there that have, I don't like the term special needs, but I guess I have special needs, right? We all have special
We
needs.
all have special
So
needs.
they adapt their training to the unique individual. And so that includes, they have some people who have achieved black belt with having autism. They have hearing impaired. They have um, lots of different disabilities, and I don't even know. I don't want to label anyone or point anyone out, but
Right.
it's
And
anybody who walks through the door who has the right mentality to take on the martial arts is welcome there.
Now talk about that just a little bit. What does that mean, the right mentality?
So they have Tae Kwon Do is grounded in 5 tenets, which is courtesy, respect, self-control, perseverance, and indomitable spirit. And those are the 5 tenets that they abide by. So
that was actually a topic of discussion on my podcast with a fellow Tae Kwon Do practitioner. Jane will start giggling in a second, who I caught not following all 5 of those tenets, even though she claimed she did.
Yeah.
Up the middle, my podcast is more political.
Okay.
And I interviewed a bunch of candidates for the Boyertown School Board. And this one particular candidate who denied being on the far right of the political spectrum and in extremist groups and so on mentioned the 5 tenets, and exactly as she actually had to. She's further along, and she actually had to look at a set of notes. You rattled them out, one right after the other, like you've been practicing that your whole life. So that says a lot too.
Yeah, I don't know who you're referring to exactly, although I'll be sure to Google it later, but or listen to your podcast. But I can almost guarantee you she doesn't go to my school.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably not. Now, are you and Anna, your daughter, in competition here? She must be very proud of you.
Not together. We're not in competition together.
No. Well, I mean, competition just kind of, she must be so very proud of you.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
She's
the one who took the photos.
She's my daughter's 11, and I go to every tournament, I go to every practice. I'm her biggest cheerleader, and she always does this. Mom, I can hear you yelling and above everyone, and she's kind of rolling her eyes at me. Well, guess who was yelling the loudest on the video from yesterday? That was her.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
You said she's been doing it for 6 years now.
Yes, and she started at 5.
Yeah,
and she's
that's cool.
At 11, she's already teaching. She's helping with the Little Dragons class that she started with. So she's helping teach girls. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really proud of her.
Now, one of the things I wanted to ask, how does Donnie recognize the right mindset that you had alluded to just a minute ago? Did he give you, does he talk to you about it at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. There are things you don't progress in rank without knowing the tenets and showing the tenets. He's got, at every level, he's got, appropriate for that level. He's got certain guidelines. So it's not just, hey, you break a board and you do your kata and you do, you fight a little bit and then you get your next belt. There are actually, I know, thinking about my daughter, when she moved up to certain belts, she had to write a poem.
Really?
About one of the tenets. And then another one, she had to do a sculpture. You'll appreciate the art part.
Absolutely.
So, but they really reinforce those tenets to the point that, I mean, as a beginner, if I didn't know those tenets, that would be an embarrassment really to the academy. And I think that just comes naturally if you spend time there, because they practice that. That's, and they'll talk about that. And if you're struggling with a particular move or a kick or a punch or whatever it is you're struggling with, they'll say, this is indomitable spirit that you're experiencing right now. You need to find that indomitable spirit within you.
That is so cool.
Or the perseverance or the self-control or whatever it is. And so it's not really something that you memorize and recite to them with flashcards. It's just something that
it comes through authentically.
Yeah.
It's some sort of
it's an organic learning.
There you go. There you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Now, just FYI for our audiences, I did have an interview with Donnie. It's been a while now for my own Be Inspired podcast a while ago. So for anybody who's interested in learning a little bit more about Donnie until I get to him, perhaps again, one can go to Be Inspired and find the episode with him because it was fascinating. I have the greatest respect for what he is and who he is as a person and what he offers the community. He's just great.
Yeah.
He's just great.
He's got a pay it forward program. In order to achieve your black belt, you need to perform a certain number of hours in the community.
Cool. Very good.
I don't know of any other schools that do that.
Do you think you have acquired some of those hours? Just kidding. Amy,
if they roll over, I probably have.
God, yeah, you have done a variety of different things. Amy started up the Unity Tree, right? 5 years ago.
Yep.
And they just talk about that. You just lit the Unity Tree.
Yeah.
Last weekend.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. We moved to this town, and it's such a quaint little town, and you're from here too, Yergz, right? So it's such a cute little town, and it's got so much more potential than it utilizes. But as a transplant here, I thought, where the heck is the Christmas tree? There's no Christmas tree in town, and it's like a Hallmark setting in some ways, and then other ways it's like time forgot us. But so I just, that's one of my things that I do is if something needs to be done, you're the first one to get volunteered if it's your idea. So so here we are 5 years later.
And Amy's the one when COVID first started and everything was shut down. She was a fan of Studio B, the art gallery, and knew that we would not be doing openings and receptions and that people would be hesitant to come in and see the art and purchase the art and get together and so forth. So she was at the time an entrepreneur doing Muzo Media Productions. And so she said, you need to go digital, you need to go virtual. And so she ended up recording our exhibits and then we showed them she made it happen. Jane knows nothing, but made it happen and put these virtual tours of our art exhibits on Facebook Live. Yeah. And then I corralled her to do a Be Inspired podcast because I had just started that kind of thing. This is a woman who has been in the community doing all kinds of things for the community, for the betterment of the community. And, she and I are a mutual admiration society, I think.
Yes.
So, and have worked together on a variety of different projects. And she, of course, is the one who, and we talked about this, I think, in previous episodes, but Amy is the one with her friend Judy, when they were in Alaska, saw an example of the Before I Die wall. Yeah. And texted me and said, we have to bring this to Boyertown. And so, of course, we did. So, this is a woman who has been all over the place. And and just does so many things. You need anything done, and Amy thinks it's a good idea. Amy will see that it gets done with the help of a lot of
Go back to the tree a second.
Yeah.
Wasn't there one? Didn't there used to be a tree at the original location of the Before I Die wall, right outside the ice cream store or whatever was there in the end building?
There,
not Land Before Time, but Back in Time or whatever that ice cream store used to be. The haunted building.
That was before me, but I do know there used to be a Christmas tree outside of Borough Hall on Washington Street.
That's real.
Yes.
Decorated every year.
And that was a real tree. And then it got too big. And they said, this is too much work. And then that was it. Because when we tried to do the first tree, I said, well, where are the decorations? Like there was a tree at some point. So we went into the basement of Zuber with permission. And that place, oh my gosh, it was like cobwebs and it was a cellar. But anyway, we found the decorations because they were, these giant ornaments, and Judy Wetzel and I painted all of them.
Did you really?
And rewired some of them, and because we didn't have a budget, this was just a couple of us decided, hey, we're going to do this. So we did it, and we're still using those balls.
I love the spirit, the can-do spirit.
Yeah.
I love it. The initiative, the resilience, the creativity. I just love it.
Well,
like I said,
I told you earlier.
Yeah, what?
Don't tell me what I can't do. And that's kind of sometimes I get off track of that, but then I come back to it and I'm like, why
so
can't
where
I
is
martial arts? Why can't I?
where is the tree now? Where's the Unity tree now?
It's right by the railroad tracks on East Philadelphia Ave.
Right behind the Before I Die wall that you are familiar with now.
Right. Well, the location I'm talking about was further up, I guess, by that very small open lot or yard by like what used to be Jack McNelly's office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where a tree used to be.
I don't remember, Ross.
And again, that's plus 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Amy for joining us. Is there anything else you would like to say about your journey or about Ellison's or about your daughter or about anything before we...
I could talk about my kids all day.
Okay, well, yeah. That's another show.
Yeah, right. That's another show. Yeah. No, I just, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Jane has a way of persuading people to do things, and don't tell her what she can't do either, because when she asks if you want to, the answer really has to be yes, or she'll figure out a way to get you in here.
Exactly.
So
anyway, thanks again. Thanks.
Where can we find you? Social media and stuff like that.
I run
and projects that you're working on, all that stuff.
Yeah, I run a page called Eastern Berks Local. It's called Out and About in Eastern Berks. That's on Facebook. That's just a page for finding local activities and things. It's not necessarily my stuff. It's whatever stuff interests me that I share. And then we also have a networking group called One Boyertown, which is a Facebook group also. I'm not really doing that much with Muzzo Media Productions. That's my videography company. I did that during COVID because, as Jane alluded to, people were shut down. People weren't coming out. So I found a way to reach them virtually, and I went around to businesses and said, come on, let's do this. Mm-hmm. I still do it freelancing, but I'm very selective about it because I have a full-time job in addition to all my volunteer time.
Which is what, by the way?
So I work as the executive director for a local charity called the Foundation for Boyertown Education.
Okay.
So we support the 6,700 students of the Boyertown Area School District by providing innovative programming and things to add to their education.
Did you say Foundation?
Education Foundation.
Okay.
The Foundation for Boyertown Education is what it's called. We're a separate charity, completely different from the school district, but we do support the children in the district.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, we'll make sure that we get that out now and also in show notes, comments, stuff like that.
And you can find the foundation on our website, which is foundationbe.org.
Sounds
cool.
Good. Thanks again, Amy.
Thank you.
For being willing to chat with us today.
I enjoy your podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate the support. And as we tell our audience all the time, like, subscribe, and share. Keep talking about us.
Because that's how we get, that's what's fun.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, sweetie.
Yeah.
He and I will continue with other episodes, but thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks, honey.
Thank you. Bye, Yergz.
See ya. Thank you.